Well, hi, everybody. Thank you very much for your time today to hear about our ideas about a more effective approach to technology training. My name is Vic Tagawa, and I'm the CTO of Sunset Learning. And joining me is Pat Bird, our Chief Learning Officer. Pat
Good
and I have
morning.
been involved in technology training for about 30 years, developing and delivering an array of technology training for a bunch of different organizations. And one of the things that's occurred is reflecting on our past experience and the experience of other educators. We decided that we would try to develop a better way for our students to learn these new technologies. So what we're going to take a look at today, if I can get my slides working, is something that we call the Sunset Learning Academy. And one thing that we can probably all relate to is sitting through some sort of concentrated training, whether it's a webinar or whether it's a multi-day learning session where you get a lot of concentrated learning information thrown at you all at once. And then when you leave that session, for a very short period of time, you have that knowledge in your head and you might be able to perform reasonably well on an exam. But if you were actually put to task to use that information, you may be a little bit less successful. And that's because we all tend to learn at different rates and assimilate and learn information that's important to us, and not necessarily all of the information that's thrown at us during that concentrated learning period. And what we found, and what the experts have also found, is that if we take learning in smaller chunks, right, little bits of information rather than 5 days or 3 days or whatever of concentrated information that's thrown at us, and we're able to reinforce and review and use, sort of give our brains time to create memories of that information and relate it to tasks and things that we need to do, we tend to remember it longer, right? And remembering things that have relevance. For instance, don't touch that hot stove because you might burn yourself. That's relevant to us. And because our survival instinct kicks in and says, I don't want to get hurt, right? Or the way I used to train my instructors, or the things I used to do with my instructors, was to say, hey, I want you to memorize one thing, right, before you take the instructor exam. And that is just the phrase, would you like fries with that? And that way, what we've done is we've stimulated their fear sector in their brain that says, well, if I don't perform well in this after this training, I may not have a job, right? So that's another way of creating linkages for learning and making them, strengthening them. But I don't necessarily advocate fear, but it does occur, right? Or the survival instinct in that case for just certification training. And another thing that we've learned is by working with our peers and working with other people. Let's say you're learning a new language. Learning a new language is hard when you sit by yourself and learn that. But when you're talking to other people and practicing that language with other people, you tend to assimilate the language much quicker, much more quickly. So peer interaction is important. And just having that ability to interact and use the new things that you've learned makes that information more memorable. So the great thing is that Pat is going to take us through a new program that she's designed that takes all of this information about how people learn and put it into a program for technology professionals to help us teach and learn better. So Pat, I think this is where I'd like you to take over.
All right, sounds good. So what we have, you can see at the bottom, is we have our program broken up into formal peer and instructor activities and experiential activities. There at the bottom of the screen, you can see when we learn our jobs, that tends to be how we learn. So we wanted to be easy, light on the formal, and really enhance that peer and experiential part of learning. So what we have here is where the dots are, is our program. Our SDCP program will go over 6 weeks, 6-week period. It might be 4, but it will be a long duration. And in each week, there will be a certain amount of instructor guided time. And then you can see the other class elements over on the left where there are office hours, breakout sessions. You will have access to test simulator actual activities, and then some group exam prep sessions to prepare for that SDCP exam. And so each week would follow this same pattern of activities. There would be calendar invites placed on your calendar to attend these events each week to prepare you for that exam. And also hopefully to, so that you learn and retain the information that is in the course study. Vic, go ahead and hit the old arrow key. And so those are the formal activities we'd be doing together up on the top with your instructor and your peers. And then, I'm sorry, back up, Vic. Then there's also a learning plan you have access to that's self-study content that is a full recording of all the lectures. There's quizzes, check-in events, and then digital assets and forums that you could use, theoretically long after you took the exam, more as on-the-job refresher. Vic, go ahead. So we're just kind of quantifying what I just went over, that you've got more than 12 or more instructor guided sessions, exam prep sessions, lots of office hours, lots of one-on-one instructor sessions, group sessions, and then these test simulator exercises that will really take you through a section of content at a time. Back to you, Vic.
I'm getting my clicker ready here. Well, thanks, Pat. So as you can see, we have quite a program, but what does that have to do with MEF and the SD-WAN Certified Professional Program? And really, Sunset Learning is pleased to announce that we're now offering the MEF SDCP exam preparation in the Academy format that Pat described to you. And really, that's for two reasons. Number one, we know that you can probably take a concentrated 3 or 4 days study course and pass the SDCP exam. The question is, are you going to be able to take that information and practically apply it as a knowledgeable practitioner of SD-WAN concepts and skills? And we'd like to say, after attending the Academy program, that the answer to that is unequivocally yes. But that's a hard word to say this early.
This early, yes.
But our syllabus, by which Pat described over the 6-week period, is, as you see on the slide here, right? We go through SD-WAN concepts, and then we go through the service attributes and the MEF standard, right? The MEF 70 SD-WAN standard. And then we go through the different components. And what this all does is not only helps you pass the exam, but it also helps you understand the different approaches different SD-WAN providers and service providers take to deploying SD-WAN. And it really helps you better evaluate, deploy, support, and manage the SD-WAN solution of your choice. So we feel that that's kind of a better way to capture the information and learn the information and put it to use. However, Sunset Learning knows that some folks are just going to prefer the traditional methodology of learning because that's the way you've always done it throughout your career. So we still offer on our calendar concentrated short duration classes, as well as the Sunset Learning Academy option. So are there any questions or comments that anybody has? Or anything that you'd like to know more about? Okay, well, with that in mind, I really appreciate everybody taking the time to come out today and listen to this new methodology that we have for delivering training and hopefully helping you utilize what you've learned in a more effective manner. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Have a great day.